Hey everybody, happy Wednesday evening live tutorial stream. Where do I want to put my mouse? Put my mouse there. How's everybody doing out there wherever you are at the internet today? Oh, I need to rearrange those windows because chat is being weird. Hi Lori, hi Julie. Hi peoples, yay peoples. I know I'm a little late. I mean, raise your hand if you're shocked. And I'm pretty sure that no one is shocked that I was late getting on stream. Though I did I somehow lost 10 minutes. I was like, wait, how is it 6:20? What happened? Well, what happened was that, the time keeps going even when you're, not paying attention. So, welcome to Porthole Pendant. I don't have a photo of this one handy because for some reason the cloud decided to eat a bunch of my photos, which I discovered right before stream. Yay! But I have done this one before. I did not do a good job of it the last time I taught it. I actually kind of failed pretty miserably at doing it on stream, so I'm happy to have a do-over of the Porthole Pendant. So let's just talk real quick about what you're going to need to do this. And I'm pretty sure I'm forgetting something, like I've already forgotten something, like I know what I forgot though. So you're going to need some 24 gauge sheet metal, and you're going to need a cabochon of some sort that's round. Okay, this doesn't really work with other shapes, so round is what you need. And then you're going to need 1/8 inch eyelet rivets, and that's the thing that I forgot to grab. So I'll go grab those when it's time for me to use them. As far as tools go, you're going to need a lot more stuff. Circle template, always helpful. You can do this whole thing with just a circle template, but if you have access to a disc cutter, trust me, that's going to make part of this project much easier. You're going to need hammers. You're going to need a chasing hammer and a household hammer. Metal shears as well. Also tools for finishing metals, so steel wool, fine steel wool like quadruple aught or triple aught, and also fine sandpaper like 320 grit, and then either a drill or a hole punch. And as far as the holes go, it's really helpful if, unlike mine, your circle template actually has still the markings for the radials of a circle, so I'm going to need to figure that out when the time comes for that. So I think this can't be everything, but it probably is most of it. So let's go ahead and just get started. Now it would be really, really cool if, because this is about the right size hole, so it would be really, really cool if, oh, this is going to be a pain in the gajwanska. Hi, Corvus! Oh, thank you, Corvus. You're so sweet. Okay, I just need to, I need to arrange this so that, okay, that doesn't need to be on screen there. Now I can see the chat, and I can see myself, which is good. So it would be really, really cool if I had made this hole in this metal a little bit further from the edge, because this is, oh my god, oops. Oh kittens, at least they're, for the most part resilient, because this is the perfect size hole. So what I'm going to do is, I'm pretty sure, was it this one? Yeah, okay, so this is the one I need, but I don't have enough metal around it to actually make what I need. So we're going to unfortunately say goodbye to that piece of metal. And we're going to start from scratch. Okay, so I've got my 24 gauge copper sheet here. So I'm going to use my circle template to decide what size do I want to make my pendant. So I wish I did have you can hop on beadingdreams.com, and there is a photo of this project, because it is a really cool pendant, and it's kind of hard to visualize while you're doing it. So I would like to show you guys a photo. But I decided that it would be better if I just got my ass online and started doing the project instead of taking more time to look for a photo, since I was already late. Alright, so I think that this is probably the size that I'm going to use, which means that I need to put my center, my porthole, right about here. So I'm just going to go ahead and scribe myself a little X there. And I'm actually going to do that first with my disc cutter, and then I'm going to cut out my circle with my circle template, because it's easier for me to position my circle template and draw my circle than it is to position things in my disc cutter, since the disc cutter is, you know, just this big metal thing. Sometimes it's hard for me to line things up in there. So that's just the way that I prefer to work. Once again, you can do whatever's comfortable. If you don't have a disc cutter, you will need to do this part with a saw, okay, because you're going to be piercing from the interior of a piece of metal. So you would go ahead, thank you, Corvus, you are amazing. Corvus just posted the link to the photo. So if you are gonna do this without a disc cutter, you would go ahead and draw that inner circle, drill a hole or punch a hole, and then saw that out with a saw. Like I said, I get to cheat because I have this beautiful disc cutter that was a gift from a client. And so we're gonna just put that in there. Won't go in there because it's bent. So my goal is to take that X that I scribed, which is right here, and center that in my disc cutter, and then I'm going to crank it down so that it holds my metal. I'm going to put my punch in there. And this is going to get loud, so if you need to mute me, go ahead and do that, because we're about to use the big hammer. This was another gift from a customer, and this is amazing. I love this hammer so much. It's a brass dead blow hammer, which means that it's going to get really chopped up by your punches. But the reason that, because it took me a while to figure out, why does everybody like using brass hammers on steel punches, because your hammer winds up looking like this. And the reason is because they don't bounce. That's why it's called a dead blow hammer. They hit and they stop and they don't bounce off, and that makes it easier to get a more precise hit. That's why everybody likes brass hammers for things like this. Okay. This is going to be loud, so if you're going to mute me, you should mute me in 3, 2, 1, and here we go. So if you have a good heavy hammer, you can get it in, 2 to 3 hits. It's like my grandfather always said, don't force it, honey, just get a bigger hammer. Set that there for now. So now I have a Heather cam with no Heather, because I still haven't fixed that on my Stream Deck. Okay, so now I have this nice little circle cut, and so now I'm going to grab my circle template, and remember, which one was I doing? I was doing this one, I think. So then I'm going to go ahead and I can center that now. I'm just going to eyeball that, center that above my hole, and scribe myself a circle, and then I can go, oh dear, which one was it? Ah! I lost it. I lost it. Lost my mind. I know. You guys are like, what mind? Okay, so this one down here. So then I'm going to cut an additional piece that's the same size. So this is going to be the front piece that's going to hold our stone, and this is going to be the back piece. So this I could do with a saw if I wanted to. I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to do it with my metal shears. So I'm just going to use my metal shears to cut out both of these circles that I have scribed. There's really no reason that you have to scribe them other than the fact that I couldn't find a Sharpie in my drawer. Also, I cannot cut these on camera because I can't see them, so sorry. I mean, I couldn't cut them on camera, but I can't cut them on hand camera because I can't see the scribe lines with my glasses on. So tonight is buttonless night. That means that we're going to be back at 7:30 with Heather and I, and we are going to be playing catchphrase, which I've never played before. So that's going to be fun. And the cool thing, as Heather pointed out about catchphrase, is that you guys can all play along. So you can all play together. And of course we will be offering fun and prizes, though I still have not found the cat butt charm. Sorry.
It's out there though. It'll surface at the right.
It'll surface eventually. Also, thanks to Sam, I've started decorating the background of my streaming space with buttons, so appropriate for the button list. Once we get some of our buttons made, I will put some back there as well. Okay, so this is my donut. This is the front of my pendant. Also, by the way, since I don't have my glasses on, if anybody comments right now, I will get back to you when I have vision correction again. Let's see, so how's everybody's weekend? It's 1,000 million, 100 trillion degrees here in Texas. Today's high was, I think, 103 with a real feel of 118. So that was awesome. Yeah. So we have definitely reached that part of the summer, which, to be fair, last year that part of the summer started much sooner than it did this year, because last year we had already had multiple 100-degree days, I think, by the end of May, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Oh, right, because Illinois and Wisconsin, you've got all that stupid smoke from the fires. It's a funny meme that I saw this morning. Okay, so has anyone ever been that person where you're at a campfire and it doesn't matter where you sit,
That's where the smoke.
that's where the smoke goes? So in the meme, it was like Illinois and Indiana and Ohio and Wisconsin was like, Wisconsin was that. It was like frame 1, Wisconsin's getting smoked. Frame 2, Wisconsin's moved, still getting smoked. Frame 3, Wisconsin's still getting smoked. It's like, what the hell? So yeah, that's unfortunate. Toronto is the city with the worst air quality. So how's the air quality in Alberta? You guys doing okay up there? Yes, my friend Alicia Julie is also that person. She loves fire, so she and her husband actually got one of those solo stoves, those super fancy like fire pit things that are supposed to be like smokeless or practically smokeless, because she is the one. Like, wherever she sits is where the smoke goes. Like, we could play musical chairs and smoke will just follow her wherever. Okay, so while I still have these two pieces separate, I'm going to go ahead and mark my holes. And we're going to see how I'm going to do that. I'm going to see if I have any, do I have any circle templates that still have markings on them? Okay, this one does. Cool. So I really only need to mark my holes on my top, my porthole part. So I'm going to go ahead and put that under my template. And I can scribe these two because I can, if I want to, I can make this the underside. But I'm just going to put like just in from the edge, like about 1/4 of an inch in. I'm going to put a dot, and then I'm actually going to go back with a hammer and I'm going to make these actual divots, because that's going to make it easier to drill or hole punch. Right now I'm just making little dents. Oh, really? Okay, so now I'm going to grab my bench block and I'm going to keep using my my lovely brass hammer, and I'm just going to ding in each of these so that my drill bit or my hole punch has some place to grab. So I'm just gonna take I'm taking my centering punch. So centering punch was not on the list of supplies that I gave you earlier, but it is one of those things that if you do a lot of metalworking, you probably just have. I promise Heather's not dying.
I might be dying.
But I just promised you weren't.
I'm not immediately dying.
Okay. I mean, I know we're all slowly dying. Okay, I am 98% that Heather will not be dead before the podcast stream. That's all I can tell you.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to take this and so this is funny because this is an extraordinarily useful tool. You can use it for a lot of things, including poking people when they piss you off. But my first metalworking teacher, who is a friend of mine, just called it a punch. And so she sent me with a list of tools to buy to start my, to start basic smithing. And on there was just punch. So I get to the jeweler's supply and they're like, well, what kind of punch? I'm like, I don't know. You put it on the metal and you hit it. And they're like, what kind of punch? And I'm like, you put it on the metal and you hit it. I had no freaking clue. So centering punch is what this extremely useful, extremely simple tool is called. And once again, it is because you can also use it as a texturing tool to make little, dots on things. I know I've done that before on stream. If you're in a pinch, you can just wail on it to make a hole in a piece of metal, but the problem with making a hole in metal with a stabby thing instead of with a proper punch is you're not really, like, a proper punch or a drill is actually, wow, that's a thing my hair is doing right now. A proper punch or a drill is actually removing the metal from the hole. A stabby thing is basically just like blowing through your metal. Like imagine like a baked potato that explodes from the steam. Like you don't get a nice clean back on it. The other thing you will do if you do that is you're going to dull out your punch. Now the good thing is you can sharpen your punch with just a file, which is nice, but I always consider that as like my least favorite option if I have to make a hole in metal. Really the point and the exactly, Keiko, or truly horrifying. For a while, and I don't know if they still sell them, but for a while they sold self-ear piercing kits. And I know this because my stepmother pierced her ears a couple of times, a couple of additional holes with them. It was basically a plastic version of the like gun they use at the mall with a stabby earring in it, and you literally like put it up on your ear and you like plungered it down. Yeah, that's only one step up from like an ice pick and an apple. Oh, well, yes, because Temu obviously has the bestest of everything. But just like, that is way high up there on my nope list. I mean, I did get my ears pierced at the mall because when I was young, you didn't go to those places. But if I were getting my ears pierced now, or if I ever do get my nose pierced, I will go to a proper piercing place. But oh my God, you can still buy them at Sally's. No. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and hit these babies one more time. Now, you all know I can't sing. What?
I'm not singing.
Alright, so I'm just going to line my center, and you can't like see it because like camera, I'm going to have to move it. But so I've just got my centering punch lined up in that little divot that I made, and I'm just going to take my hammer, I'm going to tap it. So my goal is not to make a hole through the metal with this. My goal is to make a divot so that when I go back with either my drill or my hole punch, that it's going to have some place to grab. Okay, I will say the combination of caffeine and 8 hours of sleep is definitely nice.
That is pretty nice.
I was attacked by a prong pusher. Okay, and then I do have this little irregularity in my circle. I don't know if you can see it there, but there's like a little bulge there. So I'm just going to file that down so that I have a nice clean circle. And then so files are for shaping metal. sandpaper and steel wool are for smoothing metal, okay? So don't be like me the first like 15 years of my career where I couldn't figure out why I could not get a nice edge with the files, because files don't smooth things. Files shape things. Files move metal. Files remove metal. They don't make it smoother. So, sorry, that's hilarious. Oh my god. We are standing seriously in a pool. I mean, not wrong, not wrong. There is no way to get sanitary conditions out at fair. It is literally impossible. Okay, so now I'm just going to take my 320 sandpaper and I'm going to sand the edges of these quickly. And I'll probably go back after I've done my pendant and just do another pass at it. Okay, so up to this point, the last time I taught this tutorial, everything was going well. Except for my camera's crooked, but other than that, still a little crooked, but it's better. And this next step after the, so we're gonna see how it goes this time. Okay, so there is definitely one tool, probably more than one, but like I said, you know, we'll get to that when we get to that. But there's definitely one tool that I forgot to mention that is quite important to this, and that is a dapping block. Okay, this is a dapping block. Again, if somebody pisses you off, really good weapon because solid steel and stabby corners. And then your dapping block will come with dapping punches. Depending on your aim, these can also be good weapons. I don't know why I'm so angry today, but I have been all day. I'm going to blame the woman who handed me a flat piece of dichroic glass and said, "Can you make this look like a shell?"
Yeah, just do a little origami on this.
And I was like, ma'am, do you realize this is a flat piece of glass? And then I said, well, do you have a vision or do you have an idea how that would look? No. Okay. Now we're going to find you a different pendant because this was after the woman who comes in with the bracelet that has a lobster claw on it. She's like, well, I don't want that kind of clasp, pointing to the one on her bracelet. I don't want a toggle. I don't want a hook. I want a claw. And I'm like, but that's a claw. She's like, no, the other kind of claw. Okay. The one that opens from both sides. Okay, don't have those. How about a magnet? Okay, cool. Oh no, those magnets are too dressy. Do you have other magnets? There was a lot of almost murdering that happened at the beginning of the day today, and I just want to say for the record that no clients were murdered at the Beading Dreams by me today or anyone else. Okay, so this is, like I said, where the project went off the rails last time. I feel like that's the wrong, yep, that's the Heather Cam button again. It's a good thing you're not sitting over there because I keep putting you accidentally on camera. So I'm going to... Well, because I haven't relabeled everything on my Stream Deck since I switched the cameras.
Right.
Y'all, I feel like she doesn't believe me. Do you feel like she doesn't believe me? Because I feel like she doesn't believe me. Okay, so this is where the project went off the rails last time because I didn't do this part right. So where's my cat? I mean, I was streaming live on the internet, officer. There's no way I could have murdered that woman in her sleep. I mean, everything's time-stamped. Okay, so what I need is I need to find a hole in the dapping block that's smaller than the hole that aligns with the hole that I punched. That means that this is not my hole. That means that, wait, nope, I'm wrong, I'm so wrong, I'm backwards. I need one that's bigger. This is still not my hole, but none of these are either. I need a bigger one. Probably this one. Okay, yes, this is what I need. Okay. So what I need to do with this is I need to take my dapping punch. Okay, so your dapping block is going to come with a set of these in all different sizes. So the idea with this is that this fits into the hole and you can make things that are flat into things that are round using your dapping block. So this is a wee bit tricky. The reason I'm like kind of futzing with it is because what I need is basically the dapping block to support the edge of my metal, and then I need the dapping punch to just bow out my metal enough to, first of all, get my dang autofocus to freaking focus on something that's not my ruler, which I don't think is going to happen, but just to bow it out enough that it can hold my cabochon. So we're going to see how this goes. So I'm going to do my best to center my porthole. Essentially, yes, Julie, you are correct. So I'm going to do my best to center my porthole above my dapping well. I'm going to put my punch in there, and I'm debating, do I want a slightly larger one? I think I want to go one size up. All right, so I'm going to put that in there. All right, so I've got, once again, sorry, the camera's a little close for this, but so I've got this. So I've got my piece of metal, it's on top of my dapping block. So ideally it should be centered over the depression that I'm going to use, and then I'm going to take my punch, which is bigger, slightly bigger than the hole in my porthole, and I'm going to tap it. I'm going to see if this works. I'm just going to take I'm just going to leave it on face cam because you're probably not going to be able to see it. All right, so here we go. All right, so that, ideally, that's what we wanted. Now here's the question. Does it still hold the cabochon? And the answer, ladies and germs, is it does, though it's really pissing me off that my camera is not focusing. So I might need to fix that before I can go on. So the idea is that you should be able to put this over your cabochon, and your cabochon should be firmly seated in this bezel that you just made. So I'm going to see what I can do to fix this audio-visual situation. And then I'm going to go grab some rivets, and then we're going to put this together. And from this point, it's pretty easy assembly. So I will say the reason that I did not do well at this last time is because I didn't pay proper attention to the size of this cabochon as compared to this hole. So I actually made the hole a little bit too big, and so therefore everything didn't, nope, that was right. Okay, auto exposure, why you always gotta make it darker? Like, what the heck? Well, that's not right either. Okay, well that's better. It's not great, but it's better than it was. Oh, that's getting worse. And do I wish I had a producer who could do all this crap for me? Of course I do. But I own a small business. Alright, I think that's as good as it's going to get today, guys, but that's definitely better than it is, because at least now you can see what the actual heck is going on. So yes, so I've got my punched up bezel here, and then that's going to go there, and it's going to go on top of my back piece. So now I have to make, with a drill, I'm going to, it says restream. Okay, am I still streaming?
I don't know.
I think I'm still streaming. I think it was just a hiccup. Okay.
Sending Corvus puppy pictures.
Oh.
I mean, it's also very cute.
Okay, so you can do this with a drill, but I'm going to do it with my hole punch just because it's easier than busting out the drill. So for a 1/8 inch eyelet, you want to use your, no, not 1/8. Ooh, that's wrong. 1/16. Then you want to use your 1/16 punch. And it should be pretty easy to line it up because I've already made my indentions. So just line it up with your indent, and I know, right? For now, who knows what's going to happen later. Because the technology is fickle. All right, so there's one hole. So I'm just going to make the rest of these holes. So I just interspersed 2, 6, 7, 8 holes around the edge. You don't have to do 8. That was just the markings that were on my template, so it was easy to do. You could do, I would not do fewer than 4. You could do as many as you want. You could even, you know, space them. You could do some closer to the bezel, some further from the bezel. You could get as artistic with that as you want. I just went boring and spaced them evenly. And then I'm going to need to make holes on this back plate as well, but it's going to be way easier if I do these first. And here's a rule of thumb that I always use when riveting. So you can make all of the holes that you want to in one layer. You can pre-punch all of the holes in one layer. But if you pre-punch all of the holes in your second layer, the gods of riveting will laugh at you in jest because none of your holes will line up. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pre-punch one hole in my bottom layer, and then I'm going to start the riveting process, and then I'm going to punch the rest of the holes from there, because just small shifts in the metal and the way that the cabochon sits in there are going to make a difference in how your metal lines up. And you know, once again, if you punch all your holes, I guarantee you they're not going to line up. It's just one of those awful things. So just don't do that to yourself, because nobody needs that kind of stress in their life. Dee-dee-dee. All right, one more. Okay. Oh, okay, that one was already punched, so maybe I didn't need to do one more. Maybe that was the last one. Okay, so I've got all my holes punched, so I'm going to go ahead and put this on here on my bench block, and I'm going to line up my circles. And if I've got some irregularities, I can always clean those up later. But I'm just going to take my hammer and my punch, and I'm going to make sure that this is lined up. And I'm just going to go through one of these, and I'm going to hit it. And that's going to give me a mark for my first hole. Okay, so funny story, Keiko, that Heather can tell you. When we're on the podcast stream, ask Heather about robot seeds.
Yes.
Okay, so now I'm going to take that. I'm going to make a hole there. And then I'm going to run away for just a second to grab the rivets that I forgot to grab. All right, we are back. Wow, that was weird. Be right back with rivets.
We are back. We are back. Yes. You save so much time.
Okay. All right. So, yep. Well, and actually, I think we need to preface the robot seed story with the cow seeds story. So we, you know, all right, we'll have story time. Okay, so these are 1/8 inch eyelets, and they're used a lot of times in scrapbooking and like mini bookbinding. These are good cheater rivets because one end of them is already finished. Now, any like real metalsmith, I'll tell you these aren't real rivets. You have, you know, you can make real rivets with wire and a riveting hammer, but I say to them, pshaw, good sir, you do not have as little time as I do. So I'm just going to pick some out from here. And I have mixed silver ones and brass ones, so I think I'm going to try and find all brass ones for this. So I just need to grab 8 brass ones. It's just going to take me a moment. The cowseed story, Julie, is actually a story from Bristol. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You're shorter. None of those are the right size. 7. Okay. Okay, so how do you determine what is the right length of rivet to use for your project? I'm not going to put those up there because that's going to fall down and then things are going to get really bad. So what you want is you want to be able to, and we want the finished side of the rivet on the front. So I'm going to pop that through the front of my little porthole, like so, and then through the second layer, like so. And what you want is you want to have about, not more than really, and this one is, it's sticking out the front too, but you want to have not more than like 1/8 of an inch sticking out. And of course I do need to go ahead and put my cabochon in here. So I'm just gonna sort of wiggle that dude in there and then reset that. And I'm gonna need a little bit of extra length on my rivet because see how my cabochon makes a little bit of space there. So that'll go away once I've pounded down all my rivets, but for starters, I do need just a little bit of extra length in order to get it through. And if you can't get it through just with your hands, you can go ahead and use your chain nose, but you want to make sure that you don't crunch it too much. There we go. Okay, so that's the goal. That is the goal. So I want the front of my rivet to be flush with the flush with the front of my pendant, and I want the back of my rivet to be sticking out not more than 1/8 of an inch. Now I'm going to switch hammers to my chasing hammer. And I'm going to take the rounded end of my chasing hammer, and I'm going to take my rivet. I want to put my rivet on my bench block. Notice I don't have my cabochon on my bench block because I don't want to bust it. So rivet on the bench block, just take the round side of your hammer and just pound that tube down so your rivet is set. And you want it to be smooth, which it's not. There we go. Alright, so there's rivet number 1 of 8. So now I'm just going to go to, so see how things have shifted? See how this is not perfectly lined up on here anymore? And this is why I said do not punch all your holes, because you will be sad, an unhappy person if you do so. Also, don't drop your hole punch on the floor. Good Lord. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and try and see if we can line this up a little better. Cool. Okay, so just like when you're setting a gemstone in any kind of setting, your best bet at this point is to go directly opposite. So I'm going to go directly opposite, and I'm just going to punch through the hole that already exists. Maybe? Yeah, okay, so I'm going to punch through the hole that already exists, and then continue to punch through the second layer. Alright, so I should have a hole, I do, through both layers. So now we're going to go ahead and here's a trick that I actually learned from a student. is if you have something that's slightly pokier than a centering punch, which I may or may not, like a knotting awl, instead of trying to fumble with the rivet in your hand, you can actually stab something pokey into this side of it and use that to position it. The trick that I typically will use is I'll actually put it face down on the bench block and then flip my piece over and then just sort of kind of drop it on top of there, which sometimes works well for me and sometimes not so much. Because of course you're doing it blind. Yes, it does kind of look like a flying saucer. It sucks not being able to see anything. Do not like this. This particular state of being is not agreeable to me. Nope. Really? Really? Seriously. How many things am I going to drop during this broadcast? You can feel free to start taking bets on that. Let's try that again, shall we? Oh! Well, you're weird and strange and don't get to play with the group. So you don't want your eyelets to be too long. You don't want to be too short. Because obviously if they're too short, 11D7, I'm glad you have such confidence in me, Lori. So if your eyelets are too long, then they won't flatten out nicely and you'll wind up with a lot of kind of weird squishy metal. Alright, I just need to stop being stubborn and go get the tool that I actually need to do this, because this is becoming ridiculous. Be right back.
I'm sending these ones back.
Okay, so this is actually the easiest way to do this. So if you have an awl or something that's very pointy, you can literally just take your eyelet and seat it on the end of your pointy thing and then stab it through the hole. And it works, as you can see, very easily. You just need to be smart enough to actually get the right tool, and then you don't have to sit here on stream trying to figure it out in front of everybody. So again, we're just going to rest that on the bench block and pound. Okay, so there we go. That's 2 rivets. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the remaining 6. Oh, yeah, duh, you gotta punch a hole first. So, punch a hole. And once you got the 2 opposite rivets done, then, I mean, you could go to the next compass points if you wanted to. At this point, it doesn't so much matter because everything is pretty much locked in place at this point. However, do not have hubris. At this point, I think you can go ahead and punch all your holes because you can't, because there's still, yeah, there's still things that can shift, and so just don't do it. The other thing that can be difficult, and that is being difficult at this point for me, is the fact that the curve of the cabochon is not, at this point, it's not allowing me to line up my punch with my hole. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to my drill, which means I need the right size drill bit, and I need a drilling block. So once again, BRB. All right, so you can sit there. Okay, so needless to say, the buttonless is going to start a little bit late tonight. I did not just do that. Really. But Heather and I will be playing catchphrase. And you will all be playing with us tonight, so it should be lots of fun. All right. That's why are you not turning on? Oh. You're not completely plugged in. There we go. Alright, so do not drill on your bench block, people. Not a good idea. Drill on a piece of wood. Alright, and I'm going to live a little dangerously, and I'm going to do 2 holes. Unset those 2, and then I'm going to do the other holes. So don't drill on your bench block, don't set rivets on your drilling block. So, you know, different tools for different purposes. Okay, so I mean the stabby trick really does work fantastically well, especially if you have problems holding tiny things. Alright, so I've got 4 left. We're going to go ahead and drill those and set those, then drill a hole in the top, and then this puppy will be done. At this point, everything is stable enough that I feel confident drilling those last 4 holes, but once again, don't get to that place too early, because trust me, you will wind up regretting it. Or more precisely, don't think you've gotten to that place earlier than you have, because you will wind up regretting it. So slow and steady is always your better option. So now I'm just going to, one at a time, take my rivets and set them. So when you're setting those rivets, you're going to be bringing this together, and you might even have to just do a little bit of squeezing that together to get your rivet through on that end ones. I'm going to grab my between those, and I'm just going to use some physics in my favor. So squeeze that together. And then just stick my rivet through there. All right, last one. Which goes there. Now, since this is a glass cabochon, I can put this in the tumbler if I want to shine it up. If it's a stone cabochon, we've talked about this before, you want to be cautious about putting stone cabochons in the tumbler because some of them can take it, some of them cannot. All right, and then once again, you'll notice, like I said, that things have shifted here. So what I'm going to do now is, because I can't magically make this grow, so I'm just going to take my shears, just like you would do if you were doing any kind of scrapbooking project, and I'm just going to cut that so that it lines up with the edge. And the reason for this, of course, is because it pulled in a little bit when it pulled up. And then if we flip it over, we'll see we also have a little bit of misalignment on this side. So at this point, the best solution, in my opinion, is to just cut it off so that it lines up, because your other option right now is starting over, which is never a happy option at this point in a project. Okay, so there we go. So now our edges line up. They may not be completely perfect, but they're not bad. I can clean this up with my file and then hit it with my sandpaper. And then to get a really nice soft edge on it, I'm going to grab some quadruple zero steel wool and just hit the edges with that. And that's going to give you a really nice wearable edge. And the last thing we need to do on this is make sure that we've got a way to wear it. So you've got several options. You're going to put a hole or holes somewhere on this piece that you can use to attach it to a chain or beads. Now, you could put a jump ring right through one of these. The problem is these aren't very big, so you can't really use a super sturdy jump ring. My preference is typically to punch different holes that are slightly larger. So I'll either do 2 or I'll do 1 right in the center, and I think I'm going to go ahead and go with 1 right in the center just for efficiency's sake since we are running a little overtime. So that means I need, one more time, my centering punch and my brass hammer. Not the awl, okay? This is not a centering punch. This is not a scribe. This is not strong enough. You're going to ruin it if you try and use it for that purpose. So I think I'm going to put it right in between those, and I'm going to weight it slightly towards the top. And then I'm going to use the other side of my punch. So I've been using the 1/16 side, so I'm going to use the bigger side now to do this. And I'm just going to line that up and punch my hole straight through. Make sure you go through both layers. All right, and there you go. It's done. You do not need Keiko to, I could have lined that up better, but there's my hole that I can put a nice sturdy jump ring through, and there's my pendant. Now, if you don't like the way that looks, you could also, like I said, you could do 2, or you could utilize one of these and just wrap through that. So you don't need to press down the sides of your bezel because we already took care of that by making certain that the hole that we punched was slightly smaller than the stone itself. So it should be snug enough already. If it's not, like if your stone is popping out, then really pressing the sides of your bezel down in most instances won't work. You need to, start again or find a different stone. So that's it. That's our porthole pendant. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us on the tutorial this evening. I'm glad I actually managed to successfully do this on stream because it's been bugging me ever since I failed to do it, 3 years ago. So Tonight is the button list with Allison and Heather. So it's supposed to be starting right now, but Heather's still closing, and I need to grab just a bite to eat before we get online. So give us about 15 minutes or so, and then we'll be back on this channel, twitch.tv/Beading Dream, with the button list podcast with Allison and Heather. We will be playing we'll be playing catchphrase. What?
That one, yeah.
Yes, catchphrase. So, and you guys will all be playing with us. So everyone, take a bathroom break, grab yourself a cocktail, and we'll see y'all back on this channel, twitch.tv/Beading Dream, in about 15 minutes. Okay, bye y'all.